Hello and welcome to the Coder Kids podcast. This is a weekly podcast that we do to talk about topics in kids coding, technology. I just realized I don't have my glasses. I'm going to throw those on. Yeah, it's great to be here. Today we're going to be talking about the fall catalog for Coder Kids and what we're offering this fall. My name is Jeff Ward. I'm the founder of Coder Kids. James Thornock, my comrade here.
Tvarish,
is
yeah.
the operations manager for Coder Kids, running basically everything. So, yeah, he's put together a pretty awesome schedule for the fall, and we're gonna dive into it today.
Yeah, we're really excited. We also do just a little ditty at the beginning where we catch
Little
up with
ditty.
each other. I don't know, it's not a ditty. Ditty is like a song, right? From like the 30s or something. Anyway. Um
We're not gonna dance a jig.
well, no. Although my baby boy, he's starting to dance, so we're playing music in the mornings and we're dancing with him, so that's a lot of fun. What's new with you, Jeff? How's the construction coming?
Oh man, the construction is ongoing. We actually have had some contractors out to do some bigger jobs, like complete the master shower.
Ooh, yeah.
And
Doing
so
tile or what kind of
man,
what
I
are you
would say
doing?
the big thing right now is just like choosing finishes, like choosing like what tile do we want, what floor do we want, what colors do we want, what. Oh man, there's so many choices, and
I'm a
it's
big
pretty brutal.
fan of hexagonal tiles. So,
Yeah, we're doing a little hex.
ooh yeah,
Um,
you gotta send
the
us
other
pictures.
update is that I just finished a workout about half an hour ago, and it was absolutely miserable. It was very very challenging. So
That's
if
awesome.
I'm low energy,
It's okay.
you
I'll
know
bring the
why.
energy because I haven't
Yeah.
exercised in heaven knows how long. So
Oh no,
whatever.
James, you gotta get back on it. So
I
what else is
know.
new? What else is new with you?
Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 4 just launched last night, so I'm super stoked about that.
Chapter 2, Season 4. Man,
Yeah. And
back when the last time I remember playing it, didn't even have chapters.
yeah, no, it has chapters now. And this season is so exciting. They've got like a comic book version of Thor. They've got She-Hulk. They got Groot as a playable character. We've got Wolverine as a
It's
playable
pretty cool.
character. Storm. We've got Doctor Doom, and Galactus is like the enemy. So there's actually a story now to Fortnite Battle Royale, which there hasn't been in the past. So anyway, super stoked about that. Totally not important, but that has been a bunch of fun. It's always more fun with friends. So I play with another James. So we're the kind of the James duo. But my username, for those of you unfamiliar, is Speedy Thor online. It's on Scratch and on several platforms like Twitch and whatever. And so I've been waiting for a Thor skin for a long time. So I finally got it. So
All
very,
right.
very excited.
Yeah, it's a big day. It's a
That's the
big
whole
day,
update.
James.
Just Fortnite.
That's
Just
the
that's my
update.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's pretty great, James. Everybody likes Fortnite. So, well, let's go ahead and dive into the topic. I think we got, I don't know, half an hour or less to talk.
Yeah, sure.
Kind of talk about these topics. And I think the reason we want to put this show together today is just if you are a parent who is thinking about signing your kid up for a class, like an after school class or a daytime class this fall, to kind of understand some of the options and also maybe a little bit of why Coder Kids might be a good choice for your child, maybe as opposed to a lot of the other choices that you see out there in the general community.
Yeah.
There's a
I'm
lot of
glad.
there's a lot of options for coding classes these days, and I think that we offer a very good product.
Who else does a podcast, people? That's what it comes down to.
That's
um,
right. We every week we're doing this. So
so
I guess this is episode 6. Is that right?
this is episode 6. So now I have to use two hands, for those of you on YouTube, to count. So I kind of want to give a just a top view. So we have a lot of classes. We have 57 different offerings, as far as subjects and times. We don't have 57 different subjects, but we do have different class slots. So when you're looking on our website, register.coderkids.com/online classes, then you're going to find that there's this filters button. You're going to want to click on that. It is so important. And you can filter by grade. You can filter by topic. We're going to go into those topics pretty soon here. You can also filter by keyword. So you can, any of the classes we were talking about, you can say, I don't remember everything, but I remember Roblox. You can type in Roblox and you'll see the Roblox offerings. So there are different ways to narrow it down, and then you can always chat with us on our website. We've developed that feature, so maybe that's an update we can talk about. But the overview is we have a ton of different offerings. If your kid is in first grade or in 12th grade, we have something for them. So stay tuned, and we can kind of talk about what works for the different ages and get into it. So Jeff, you want to start us out with our I'll try to not use the podcast voice. I'm like getting a little excited. So do you want to start out with our first and central topic?
Yeah. So I mean, the first topic is coding, and we're coder kids, and I think that when again, kind of going back to the origin a little bit, I guess that was podcast episode 1, if you want to go back, but we started out only offering coding classes,
Right.
and I would say we even started out really focused on like coding for kids. So like Scratch, very early, like very, very basic Python stuff. And then also like a coding foundations class, which had, Scratch Junior and some other like very basic activities. And so coding for kids is really our specialty. It's a place that we feel we're experts in. It's a place where we have a lot of experience offering these classes, and I think if you look at our coding offerings, and actually we have a little like kind of hashtag system on our website and the filters, but if you click coding, then you're going to see all of the classes that we're referring to now. But I mean, essentially coding, we're talking about building small programs using code. And so for younger kids, that might be a drag and drop platform, and for older kids, that's actually like type syntax. But either way, the idea is that they are creating small little applications essentially to that they can run, whether that's games or stories or little just typed little typed programs. So
Yeah. Yeah, and there are a couple benefits. I mean, I'll just list two really quickly. Number one, it's obviously great for a career, whether they go into coding proper and they're programmer all day long, or whether they use it in their job in another capacity. We've had a lot of I feel like Rob Lowe literally have had someone call in who's a mechanical engineering student, and he was asking for a tutor because he had a bachelor's and a master's, but he couldn't get hired because he didn't have Python knowledge. And so instead of being devastated, he's like, okay, where can I learn Python? So he gave us a call. So we'll see if we can help him out. But I mean, I think it goes to show that it's becoming useful. It's not going to be part of every single job in the future, but it will be a part of a lot. The second big thing that's great about coding is it has so much to do with how you think about problems. And so you have there are different ways that coding can support you in thinking about problems. So one, it really, really encourages creativity. So there's always more than one way to find a solution. And we see students come up with solutions to problems that I've never imagined. And it's nice to see that. And that happens on a regular basis. So the potential for creativity is awesome. And then the sequential logic is really important to thinking about problems. And then I guess one more thing, which is the collaboration. coding teaches kids to go to people with the knowledge, look at other people's projects, and our classes are structured in a way that they can see other classmates' work. And so they can look at the insides, take the best parts, incorporate that into their own. And that's super useful in the real world. I think Coder Kids has come a long way in part because Jeff and I can talk to each other and hammer ideas out, and we can look for the best answers, and it's a incredibly collaborative process, and I think we're both smarter for it, and so coding fosters those things.
Yeah, it's very, very collaborative and creative process. And so our coding classes, obviously, these are all online. They're run through Discord. Is the interface that we use.
Kind of the
Um,
classroom. Yeah,
yeah, I mean that's essentially the classroom. You're gonna have a teacher and about 8 kids. Typically, no more than 8.
that's right. Yeah,
Well,
so
let's.
for the younger kids, it's a max of 6 per class. For third through eighth, it's essentially maximum of 8, and then for our high school classes, I think it's a maximum of 10. But yeah, very
Yeah,
small class
still
sizes.
manageable. Yeah. Well, let's dive into the next general topic, which is gaming.
Oh yeah.
And I guess just to preface this, as I mentioned in the early days of Coder Kids, it was all coding for kids. So, I mean, I would say grades, well, middle school and younger. Um, and I was running this camp, Minecraft modding, and it was very clear that many of the kids did not want to learn how to code. They wanted to like just play Minecraft with their friends and make new friends and just explore Minecraft. And so we kind of branched off a little bit to run some Minecraft gaming camps. And I think that gaming is a really interesting, um, I guess, tangent to coding. A lot of people who are into coding are also into gaming. A lot of people who are into gaming are also into coding. So I think in that sense, they do run together quite well. And then I guess just one other quick note is that I feel like if you are really into Minecraft gaming, this is just my personal opinion, you're super into Minecraft or Roblox, then as you progress and as you age in that game, like maybe when you're 7 or 8, you're like super into Minecraft, you just like playing and building stuff. But maybe by the time you're like 13, you like still really like Minecraft, but you kind of done most of the stuff in Minecraft. So then there's a natural progression there to say, what can I do in terms of mods to to mod Minecraft? And so, if your child is into gaming, I don't think that there's any harm in that. I think it's more just asking like, hey, how can we progress from just playing to like creating?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. So there are a couple of things that gaming camps are really good for. So we're practicing leadership and communication skills in all of these different camps. So number one, it's a supervised environment, right? So if they're going to be playing Fortnite anyway, if they're going to be playing Roblox or Minecraft anyway, it's nice to have kind of a supervised area. They can meet friends. They're all roughly their age, and they can, keep those friends later, right? So we don't own anyone. We encourage people to make friends and keep those contacts, and then we encourage play in ways that are creative. An example. Well, I'll get into examples later, but it's just yeah. And goodness gracious, let's see if I can finish the sentence. But last podcast we talked about Minecraft. I would say give that one a listen for kind of the benefits of gameplay in general that aren't necessarily rooted to
Yeah.
coding. I'm not going to rehash those, but because we took about an hour to do that in the last one. So that's a good listen. Go ahead and listen to episode 5. Or
Yeah.
4.
So
Episode 4. Sorry, episode 5 was how to buy a laptop. So
okay. Yeah. So yeah,
also a good
some good
episode.
stuff there. But we like gaming camps and we we think that, especially during this time of COVID, great opportunity for your kids to meet new friends, to make new friends, and hopefully have lasting relationships outside of just our camp.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Digital
then the
arts.
last one, digital arts. James, you want to take this one in terms of because I know it's a pretty recent one that we're kind of exploring and starting.
Yeah, so we added digital arts because we really do care about that creativity, and I think animation and animation graphics and the way that projects look really help a project feel professional. So now, I guess there are a couple classes, and we'll talk about these in a little bit greater detail. But the arts help flesh out and make code come alive. I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
really why we're doing this. And yeah, for instance, you can have brilliant code, but if there's no visual, it's really hard for people to pick up on. Like, it doesn't matter how well your app works. If it's not beautiful, Apple doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Right? I mean, so Apple's kind of a good example
Yeah.
as a company of, we want it to work well and we want it to work seamlessly, but it has to be absolutely beautiful. I swear those people are locked away in rooms with just infinite amounts of aluminum in Johnny Hive. But yeah, so I think beauty in some ways can help elevate certain things. I have an uncle who's a UX designer for Capital One, and what they do matters, right? If they're doing their job, then more people are able to understand their finances, and like that matters. Um, so
Yeah, I was gonna say, from the Coder Kids perspective, we have a couple of developers who work for us who build some of our backend stuff and work on some other projects for us. And um, by their own admission, David is his name, and by his own admission, like he is a programmer. He is not a designer, right? So if you take his code and you don't match it with any design, then you get some pretty ugly websites.
yeah, it's just
But
bare.
if
It's like
you,
skeleton, essentially.
yeah, I mean, you could make the Coder Kids website or any website just like with straight code, straight like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript,
Circa
and I guess you wouldn't
1997.
use too much CSS. Um, and it anyway, it would just not be very digital or very appealing. And so, kind of the same thing, I think, learning to draw or um, learning to present your projects on YouTube or things like that. I think it's kind of an interesting component when you're thinking about it because uh, it's not only about what you can do, but also the manner in which you present it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So let's
So we've kind
let's
of
actually dive
done
into
the
the
overview. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll go ahead and dive into the actual classes that we offer, and you can see the age breakdowns and the pricing. Most of these classes are going to be $192. We have the younger classes I think are posted for 180, and then there are one or two that are a little bit more expensive, like our ImagiCharm class, which we'll talk about. So that's kind of the pricing. All of the classes are 12 weeks for 1 hour once a week. So that's kind of the overview of the structure of class. And then yeah, so the topics we have, starting at the youngest and kind of moving to the oldest, we have Scratch Junior. That's a 45-minute class. It is led and guided by an instructor. Like we said earlier, that's a 6 students to 1 teacher ratio. So very, very small class sizes. We really want to give time for any necessary troubleshooting. We want to make sure all the kids feel included. and that they're not overwhelmed by the technology, and that they can actually produce something, by the end of the class and learn something. So we're excited for that. It's a great foundational class for first and second graders. Our Scratch classes are definitely we have more Scratch classes than any other kind of class, and that's because we feel it's so valuable in beginning the coding journey correctly. And there's so many features that Scratch has, and we did a whole podcast on that. I believe that was podcast episode 2. So feel free to check that one out for more details. But these are the kind of topics. We've got Music Maker, which is great if you are more musically minded, you want to learn coding. Castles and Dragons, Wild West, and Outer Space are 3 different themes, the core of which is teaching basic coding principles and building with those principles games, animations, and stories, right? And so the theme changes, and they're actually different sets of projects, entirely structurally. So you can take one and then you can take another, and by all means, if you want to take all 3 at the same time this semester and go all out and learn all that you can in coding, I'd recommend it. You don't have to, but you're able to do that. And then we have the platformer class, which is strictly focused on creating platformer games, Mario, Sonic, Rayman kind of games. And then finally, we have Scratch Advanced. And this is for, if you really want something to chew on, you really want to go deeper into Scratch, you want to deepen and broaden that knowledge, or maybe you have really complicated questions that you need to ask an instructor. That's really the place to do it and to take it to the next level. So we go over algorithms, gravity, lists, variables, things that are a little bit more complex.
Yep.
And yeah, do you want to take the next couple?
Yeah. So the way that I always viewed this is like we would recommend Scratch Junior as kind of the foundational skill. There's also a lot of like games and things that we would run in our in-person classes that we can't really run now. So Scratch Junior is a great foundation. We'd also recommend, a lot of like tools and hands-on things. And then once they kind of hit, I don't know, James, what do you say, like second grade, third grade?
Second and a
They can
half,
kind
yeah.
of second and a half is I think it's the ideal. Yeah, in my experience, second and a half is like the ideal time to go and switch over to Scratch, get exposure to Scratch. I recommend that people spend a good amount of time in Scratch because there's a lot to explore and a lot to unpack in Scratch.
So much.
And a lot of people will just be like, "Oh, well, I did Scratch, right?" But really, I would recommend that they spend most of their elementary years doing Scratch, and possibly even into middle school, depending on like how adept the kid is. And then after they've kind of after they're ready, when they're ready for something new to explore, from there we offer a few different classes. So in terms of like strict coding, um, the ones that we would recommend, I think for younger grades, Python, JavaScript are probably the 2 that are kind of like the first transition point. And then we also offer a few different specialty classes like game design in Roblox, which is using the Lua coding language. And then Java, is Java offered as
Middle school, yeah.
straight class, or is that in the context of Minecraft modding?
No, that's a new course offering. So it's by
Okay.
itself. Yep.
So
And
Java and C++, and those are primarily for older students who are a little bit more advanced. At least that's. I actually haven't looked at the course offerings themselves, but I think typically we would recommend the game design in Roblox, the Python, the JavaScript for kind of a transition step, and then the Java and C++ I think is typically for slightly older kids.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, we're just looking at the back end at the numbers. More people sign up for game design in Roblox than I think almost any of our other camps for the younger ages. And in fact, this fall, game design in Roblox has the most sign up. So I'd say, this is really in demand. If your son or daughter has been playing a lot of Roblox, they're they fit the grade criteria and they do want to learn some actual coding. That class is split into game like principles of game design, which is not necessarily coding, and the other half is actual coding. So writing scripts for objects, things like kill blocks and spawn points, um, and creating a whole 3D world and a whole 3D game inside of Roblox that they can then play and share with their friends and siblings. So, yeah, a very popular class, very, um, and just a ton of fun too.
Yeah. I would recommend Python and JavaScript, also very popular classes this summer
Very,
for kids who are ready to transition out of Scratch. And in those classes, we're maybe dabbling a little bit into graphics, but primarily doing some text-based games and things like that.
yeah,
Is that fair to say, James?
that is fair. We're also thinking about, so if you're listening to this podcast and you think this is a good idea, let me know. We're thinking about doing a web design proper, so where we get HTML and JavaScript and some graphics kind of together. So we're writing a curriculum for that now. So hit me up if you're interested. We've had a couple parents kind of reach out about that topic specifically. So one class I would like to talk about in this context is ImagiCharm, and this is a class actually that requires a physical device. It I have those devices in my office. I can ship you one. I actually have them right here, but it's a podcast, so you can check out our website. But these things normally cost around $100. We got them in partnership with the ImagiLabs, the company. It's a female-led company. They're really interested in kind of minding the gap in female coding, and they're really trying to do everything they can to make coding appealing to girls, specifically in middle school and high school. And so we partnered with Dora over there, and she leads the company. And so we have those. So that's a really unique class. It does cost a little bit more because it includes the device. You get to keep it. But that's a great way to learn Python. But and then this charm, you can code it to look however you want. You can put it on your backpack or purse or whatever. So it's kind of like an external, like, hey, check this out. Like, I did this. So we think that's a really cool offering.
So it's kind of like a microbit, but it is just has a little bit more design. Huh?
I have it, like, it's on a table just to right of me.
Well, yeah, but yeah, I mean,
it's a
lot of people
podcast.
will probably just listen to this.
That's right.
So they can go to the website, or they
Imagine
can
a
just Google
Tamagotchi size. It's a little bit bigger than a Tamagotchi. It's circular.
Tamagotchi.
It feels really soft in your hand, and it's a 64 grid, like LED.
You're really you're selling people on the Tamagotchi. I mean, when they hear Tamagotchi, they're gonna be like, "Sign me up."
Sign me up, guys. So
the last one that we'll talk about in the coding space, which is also a crossover to gaming, is the Unity class. Unity is a super cool platform. It does require a little bit more computing power. It is a good way to develop 2D and 3D games. We cover, at least in the past, we've covered 3D games, like how to create a basic 3D game in Unity. And this is an interesting class because Unity is really a leader in developing a lot of 3D games for Xbox and Steam, and so there's a lot of like, if your child is like really serious about maybe wanting to become a game designer, then I would say freshman year, sophomore year of high school, getting them exposed to Unity is a really great idea, especially when they got all that free time. They can just sit around and make a couple games and, um, play them with their friends. So it's a
Yeah.
pretty cool platform.
Yeah, let's jump into gaming. I think the perfect kind of segue from Unity is Fortnite Creative, in my opinion. So I am such a big fan of this class and this mode. So in Fortnite, there's Save the World, which is the one you pay for, Battle Royale, which is the one that's free that everyone's crazy about, and then Creative, which could use a little bit more love. So you can essentially create any kind of game you could possibly imagine inside of Fortnite Creative. So you can use any of the Fortnite assets and create obstacle courses, runs, mazes, scavenger hunts. You can. There's something that's very similar to coding. You can message on channels and have that be read by other objects. So it's similar to coding. It uses a lot of the same kind of logical principles. And so it's not technically a coding class, but it is definitely a game design class. And it works a lot of the same logical frameworks that coding does. So that one, if you want a gaming camp that's still a bunch of fun, but that might be a little bit more intellectual, then you want to kind of go for that one. We have Fortnite Battle Royale. This is one where you're playing through, I guess, this current season, whatever the current season is. You're sharpening your skills. You're having fun. You're making friends. That's basically what you're gonna do if you're gonna sign up for that one. Roblox is, if you're unfamiliar, a huge platform with thousands of games, and it's like a universe of games essentially, and just another great space to collaborate in, to have fun in, make friends in. Minecraft Adventure, it's a little bit more focused. So this is where you want to send your kid if they like Minecraft, but they want like a new kind of Minecraft adventure. Like they want to experience something they've never experienced before in Minecraft. That's where they'd go. So we do all sorts of stuff. We do redstone builds. We do fashion shows where they create their own Minecraft skins. Kids really like that. I was actually pretty surprised. We test that, and I didn't think. But yeah, they like showing off what they've created and built. And again, that's that creative spirit, crafting armor, and then exploring like custom built world maps that they've never seen before. And then collaborating in survival mode as well. And then at the end of the week, I think we build like a giant like temple or castle or cave structure, and there's it really focuses on collaboration and leadership, that last project, because everybody has to build a different part of the structure, and then it all has to look cohesive at the end. So anyway, that's pretty exciting.
One thing that you haven't mentioned yet is that all of these classes have like a digital citizenship component.
That's right.
So they all have like kind of a lesson at the beginning where we talk about digital citizenship, and that could be a variety of topics like protecting yourself online or like who you communicate with, and yeah, I mean there's a
Password
lot of
strength.
things.
Yeah. So these are all the things that you want to tell your kids, but they don't think you're cool enough to tell them.
Right.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard from parents is like, hey, can you cover and we've actually had a couple of requests from parents like, hey, can you cover this during the week? Like, yeah, totally, no problem. And the kids soak it up. And so
that's the thing. They like hearing it from us
because we're cool.
And also, yeah, and I've had these like good discussions with kids about these topics. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that you are better off outsourcing instead of like sitting your kid down and having that conversation, because they're probably not going to listen to you and they might actually rebel and like do the opposite. But when they hear it from us and then they hear it also from their peers, it's like, oh, like, so when I talked to that guy on Roblox, like everyone else in my class is saying that's like a really bad idea. So maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But if you tell them not to talk to the guy, then they might be like, whatever, Dad. So it's just good to hear it from someone else, but also to have that group of peers having that conversation and talking about like what is acceptable and what's not acceptable in gaming. And I think another big component that I guess we haven't mentioned yet is just the bullying aspect. Just making sure that like we are not trolls online when we're playing games and stuff. That we're like keeping a positive attitude and having kind of that the way that you act in person is the way that you should act online. So
Yeah,
I think it's positive in a lot of ways.
yeah, it's like you want to be the kind of player, and this is something we teach, but you want to be the kind of player that everyone would like to play with you, right? You want
Right.
to it's that kind of sportsmanship of like it's not that you're so good at a game, but your communication is so clear, you're so supportive that people want to play with you. And so and that goodness that carries over into career stuff and into interpersonal
Yeah.
relationships. So it's pretty neat. So I don't think
Well,
we
let's dive in.
missed any,
Yeah. Oh,
did we?
no. Let's dive into digital arts real quick
Okay.
and talk about. We already talked about Scratch Music Maker and how
Yeah.
basically you're creating music-based projects in Scratch, which is fun. The kids, if you're not familiar with Scratch, I mean, kids just like love the audio component of Scratch, but a lot of times it's like pretty annoying in other camps. So it's like good to have this one camp that's like dedicated to like audio and making music and just being creative in that sense. Um, and then Drawing 101, this is a class that is pretty recent that we added. If your child is kind of into animation or is it manga,
Yeah.
like
That's exactly.
Japanese form of art, um, that you see in a lot of these shows. I guess maybe Pokemon could be maybe the most famous, but obviously there's a lot of Dragon Ball Z and a lot of these
Oh yeah.
um, types of shows that are super popular with kids. Just learning how to draw in that style. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is pencil and paper, but
Yeah.
a skill that can be translated to the computer and allow them to do some really cool art, whether in Scratch or some other platform.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. As a parent, it's nice to invest in pencil and paper because that's not so expensive. And then if they're really into it, you can get one of those expensive bamboo tablets, right? So
Yeah.
that's what the instructor Bailey has. So um, there's always the potential to translate that digitally, but sometimes it's nice to do something that's low cost before you jump in. So yeah, we have YouTube 101 class as well. So this one is you're shooting video, you're editing video, you're uploading video, um, you know, and this can be. Our last camp was pretty great. I mean, we had so much creativity from kids. So we had stop motion videos. We had vlogging stuff. I think almost 90% of the kids were interested in some kind of game, like screen recording for video games and then publishing that. So um, we have stuff that can accommodate that as well. So if you're interested in that kind of multimedia aspect of YouTube, then definitely do that. And you don't actually have to record yourself. You can record something else. If you're concerned about privacy, as some of our parents were, so that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it kind of goes back to the drawing 101 also, right? But like, if you have some kind of other art form, I mean, you could just record Legos in stop motion or, whatever you are into. Um, if you're worried about privacy for young kids, there's still a lot of things that you can record. But obviously, a lot of people do get into YouTube because they are hoping to be the next YouTube star. In which case, you probably record yourself.
Yeah,
But we'll leave it up to you and your child. So, um,
that's right. And ImagiCharm once again. So I just love ImagiCharm. This is a class I definitely want people to sign up for. But it is, you know, it's artistic, it's expressive. You learn Python, so it is a coding class, but it also fits in that arts category because it's literally like a piece of art that you're hanging on your backpack. You know, that's seen throughout the day, and you can change it whenever you want. So it's kind of neat. It adds that kind of richness to coding. So
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it, James. I
we
guess
did it.
we've wrapped up another podcast episode. Um,
That's right.
I hope that this provides a little bit of color to some of the people who are looking at our fall 2020 classes. And if not, at least now we fully understand it.
It's yeah, it's I
Just
mean
kidding.
it's a lot to
It's a lot
think
of
about,
classes, Yeah.
but
Highly recommend using the filter on our website um, to find the right class for your child. Because there
yeah.
are a lot of classes to sift through. So finding the right age, topic, time, um, it's a pretty good filter system. So
And all
um,
the classes are based on Central Time, Central Standard Time in America here. So if you're looking at the times, just make sure to take that into account. So
yeah,
we've got classes that start as late as 7 p.m. here, which is 5 p.m. in California, right? So we wanted to accommodate our Californian brethren and sisters. They're awesome out there. They've really supported us throughout the summer. Oh, Jeff, I shouldn't use the word brethren. Anyway, it's too old. It's an old
James is
word.
a 75-year-old man. Yeah, he looks young, but he's a 75-year-old man. So,
Oh, it's the old
anyways,
soul inside of me. That explains the Fortnite obsession. Um, anyway, and we also
all
have some
right, let's
classes
wrap it up.
which are earlier for our East Coast people. So, well, all right,
Yes.
that is
Yes.
it until next week, where the topic will remain mysterious until it drops. All right, we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.